Namaste and Jai Sita Ram to everybody who's watching today. First and foremost, I'd like to wish you and your families a very happy Krishna Janmashtmi. Today, we will be discoursing the information related to the birth of Bhagwan Shri Krishna, as well as saying some prayers for Bhagwan Shri Krishna, as we cannot have our service in person for today. Before we commence with that, we must always, and as important, say some opening prayers. First to Lord Ganesh to remove any obstacles that exist in our way. Second to Mother Saraswati to provide us with a clarity of mind so we may learn this knowledge. And then third to our gurus who laid the path before us, who allow us to sit here today to learn from the scriptures. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Om Saraswati Namasturyam Varade Kamarupini Vidharambham Karishyami Siddhira Bhavatu Me Sada Om Gurura Brahma Gurura Vishnu Gurura Deo Maheshwara Gurura Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Om Prem Se Bolo Ganesh Bhagwan Ki Jai Prem Se Bolo Saraswati Mata Ki Jai Prem Se Bolo Gurudev Ki Jai. Devotees, as we all begin to worship Bhagwan Shri Krishna today, I want to make sure that we all understand why we're here today and exactly what the series of events was that led up to us worshiping Bhagwan Shri Krishna, why this day in particular was chosen. Today on the Hindu calendar, on the 8th day, which is known as the Ashtami day of Krishna Paksh of the month of Shravan, it marks the holy event known as Krishna Janmashtmi. And during this night, devotees, Lord Vishnu, that great sustainer of all things righteous, all things dharmic, we say, manifested on this earth in his 8th incarnation as Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Why during this time, though, devotees, did the Almighty choose to incarnate, and what were the events that led up to his birth? Well, first and foremost, I can tell you that we learn a lot from all of our scriptures. This is from the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, but first and foremost, we take it back to the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We hear from chapter 4, verse 7, Lord Krishna states to Arjuna that whenever and wherever there's a decline in dharma and an increase of sinful activities, then at that time, the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Master Hari, will manifest himself. So when unrighteousness rises and righteousness falls, we need somebody back here to help balance that imbalance. So then we take ourselves over into the Srimad Bhagavad Puran. Canto 10, which is book 10, chapter 1 of the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, mentions such a time when there was a great decline in that dharma. When Mother Earth was overcome by an unbearable burden of countless numbers of conceited Daitya military forces and their so-called nobles, she went to Lord Brahma in the form of a cow to take shelter and express her concerns. Upon hearing this news, Lord Brahma, Lord Brahma, accompanied by Lord Shiva, approached the shore of the Milky Ocean where Lord Vishnu resides to see what could be done. Remember, he's the balancer of dharma, so they needed to find someone who could help rebalance that dharma. Before arriving, Lord Vishnu already knew of the distress of Mother Earth and imparted to the Lords that he personally will appear on Earth in the house of Vasudeva to restore the balance of righteousness in this universe. So now we know that the great Almighty has promised that he was going to come to the earth to help rebalance that dharma. It is from this point, devotees, that we are taken to the city of Mathura, a city ultimately connected to the Supreme Lord Hari, and a city that will always be known as the capital for all the kings of the Yadus. It was in this city that the marriage between the divine characters, Vasudeva and Devaki, was taking place. As we'll see, and as some of us know, these two divine characters mentioned in the Bhagavad Puran are the future parents of Bhagwan Shri Krishna. And keep in mind, there is a story that allowed them to have this boon to be the parents of Bhagwan. We're not going to cover that today. At some point we will. But know that this was divine. This was destined for them. After the wedding completed, Vasudeva and Devaki mounted a chariot to return home. Kamsa, the son of Ugrasena and the brother of Devaki, took the reins of his chariot to his sister and Vasudeva that were riding in order to please Devaki. He wanted to make sure she had something nice for her wedding. What nicer thing that he could do than take her back after the wedding was done? Kamsa was to be the one to take them home. He was a man of many praiseworthy qualities. I want you to keep that in mind. We always talk about what is good and what is bad, but always note that in things that we see great evil, and there's also a great propensity of good. So there's a balance here. We know that he had many divine praiseworthy qualities, but he was also very prideful, and he had committed many heinous, mischievous, and sinful acts in the past. So his bad, for the most part, outweighed his good. He still had some good in him. I don't want us to lose the fact that there's always good in people. It was due to some of his forces and armies that the balance of earth did not exist and the unrighteousness began to take over. As Kamsa took the reins of the chariot and they departed, conch shells, bugles, drums, and kettle drums vibrated in concert, to wish the bride and bridegroom all the best. As they were on the way, though, a voice from beyond echoed through the air, addressing Kamsa. It was kind of like a manifestation of his future, for the most part. The voice declared, "The 8th child of this girl you are carrying with you, O fool, will put an end to your life." The information departed to Kamsa was not taken very lightly. If somebody told you you were going to be murdered, of course you wouldn't take that lightly. Of course you would take that with a lot of care, a lot of consideration, and a lot of caution. He immediately stopped the chariot and grabbed his sister by the hair and took his sword against her with the intention to kill her. He didn't want to lose his life to the child of his daughter, so what better way to eliminate the problem than to eliminate the source? That's what he was thinking. In order to pacify the angry Kamsa, Vasudeva, the great and fortunate soul, spoke up to pacify him. Vasudeva, I want you all to keep in mind, was a very, very eloquent man. He always kept his calm in the most dire situations. He understood the situation that was occurring, and in Canto 10, Chapter 2, Verse 40 of the Bhagavad Puran states, "An intelligent person should, as long as he is in control of his mental and physical facilities, ward off death. But when someone is faced with the inevitability of death, this rule does not apply." Of course, Kamsa was losing his mind. I'm going to die. I need to figure out what to do. So I'm going to take the life of someone who's supposed to be beloved to me. Vasudeva, again, complete opposite. Very calm. He knew that in order to pacify Kamsa and alleviate the situation to save his bride, he must sacrifice that which he does not have. He declared to Kamsa, "You have, according to what the voice from the heaven vibrated, nothing to fear from Devaki indeed. Her son gives rise to your anxiety, and I'll deliver them therefore to you all." Kamsa, understanding the essence of what Vasudeva said, was for the time being stopped from killing his sister. A lot of this didn't resonate with me until I had a child. It's very hard to think about the fact that somebody would have killed Serena and I have to give up a child. Now it's one of those balancing acts. What do I give up? What am I trying to save? Of course, I'd want to save my wife at any and all costs. And now that Andy's born, it's hard for me to think of what I would do next. I would never want to give her up either. So, of course, he made a very difficult decision. One that I don't know if I could fathom or I can make in his judgment. But he did what he thought was best, and he did what he needed to for his wife. He was a very loving, very kind and considerate husband. So with the situation quelled, Kamsa returned to Vasudeva and Devaki to their home. In a year of their marriage, Devaki gave birth to her first son. His name was Kirtiman. Each of these children had a name. His name was Kirtiman. It was with a very heavy heart that Vasudeva took the child and handed him over to his brother-in-law, Kamsa. When Kamsa saw that Vasudeva was holding up his promise, truthful and very certain to himself, he was satisfied, and with a grin on his face, said, "You can take this child. I'm not worried about this one. My fear does not come from him. Instead, my death was predicted from the 8th pregnancy you have from your wife. So, take the baby back. I'm not worried." At some point after this discourse, though, Kamsa was visited by a great Vedic sage, Narad, who imparted some very dreadful knowledge to him. He stated that all of the inhabitants of Vraja, all of the cowherds and their wives, also all of the Vrishnis, beginning with Vasudeva and Devaki, and the other women of truth were gods born from heaven. Narad ended the discourse by informing Kamsa that all the Daityas who burned on the earth were going to be killed. Kamsa therefore thought that all of the Yadus were divine, and any child born from Devaki could be his future destroyer. He thought in his mind, this is going to be an army that I'm going to have to face. I don't want to have to face an army. Again, let me take care of the problem at the source and eliminate the army before it can even exist. Thus, in fear of his own life, Kamsa arrested Vasudeva and Devaki and confined them at his home in shackles. Kamsa then took the life of the firstborn, and the cycle continued through the 6th child. Now, the 7th child was a little unique. The 7th child of Devaki and Vasudeva was very, very unique in the sense that he was a planetary expansion of Lord Vishnu. And he was celebrated with the name Ananta. When the Supreme Lord learned of the fear of Kamsa had of the children, he did instruct his spiritual potency, Yogamaya, as follows: "O Devi, so good for all living beings, please go to Vraja, that a beautiful place with our cowherds and cows where Rohini and the other wives of Vasudeva in seclusion out of fear for Kamsa are living in the cowherd community of Nanda. In the womb of Devaki there is an embryo known as Ananta, who is a planetary expansion of me. Take care of a smooth transition from her womb to the womb of Rohini. At that time, all of my different parts will become Devaki's son, O auspicious one." And thus, as was requested upon her, Yogamaya transferred the embryo of Devaki and Vasudeva's 7th son to Rohini. So keep in mind, this is the 7th son. This isn't Bhagwan Shri Krishna, he's the 8th. This is the 7th. Everyone lamented when the child was transferred, believing that the baby was lost. They thought it was something like a miscarriage. However, the child was born to Rohini and was so carefully given the nickname Bhala Bhadra, or, as we say, in common terms now, Balrama. And thus, dear devotees, we're now brought to a very crucial moment in the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, the birth of the 8th child of both Devaki and Vasudeva. In her womb, Devaki carried the sustainer of all the universe. Everyone, including her brother, noticed the look as she carried this child. She radiated with the beauty of having the invincible one within her womb. She glowed. She had this ability to clear even the darkest of atmospheres with her brilliant smile. Kamsa was waiting with anticipation for this child. He even contemplated taking the life of his sister before the child was born, but the disdain brought to his reputation by doing so kept him at bay for the time, which talks more about his pride. He was focused so much more on how it would make him look that he just decided not to take care of the problem. Again, there's a lot of very mixed emotional feelings here when it comes to what he was doing. All of it was considered wrong, but he's thought in his brain, again, with his pride, that I don't want this to stain on me by killing my sister. I'm just going to wait for the baby to come and take care of the baby. Not really thinking that that also brings disdain to him. He would wait patiently until the child was born. And thus, just as it has been destined, the 8th night of the dark fortnight during the month of Shravan approached. As depicted in Canto 10, Chapter 3 of the Srimad Bhagavad Puran, the supremely auspicious hour approached with the constellation of Rohini rising. All the stars and the planets stood in a favorable position. There was peace all around. All the stars twinkled in the sky, and the cities, towns, and pasturing grounds and mines were at their best. With the rivers crystal clear and the lakes beautiful with lotuses, with the flocks of birds and the swarms of bees swinging sweetly their praise in the blooming forest, the breezes fragrant and free from dust blew with a gentle touch, while the fires of the Brahmins burned steadily and undisturbed. The minds of the virtuous ones who were oppressed by the asuras cleared up when in that situation the kettle drums resounded together to celebrate the birth of the unborn one. The Kananas and Gandharvas sang, the Siddhas and the Charanas offered prayers, and the Vidyadhara women danced in great jubilation together with the Apsaras. The sages and the demigods joyously showered the finest of flowers, and the clouds rumbled silently like the ocean waves. In the darkest hours of the night, Janardana, the world's well-wisher, appeared from the divine form of Devi. Lord Vishnu, the one residing in the heart of everyone, manifested himself in full, like the full moon rising in the east. That wonderful child, with his lotus-like eyes and his 4 arms that held different weapons, a conch, a club, and so on, was decorated with the Shrivastava mark and shining Kaustubha jewel around his neck, with yellow garments and with a beautiful hue like that of rain clouds. Vasudeva saw him beautifully, decorated with sparkling and a Vaidyuta-studded helmet, with rings on his ears, with luxuriant scattered locks of hair, and with an exquisite belt around his waist, and with armlets and bracelets on his arms. Vasudeva was amazed to see the beautiful appearance of the Lord as his son, the beautiful appearance of Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Shrimad Narayana, 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 Shrimad Narayana, 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 Shrimad Narayana, 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 Shrimad Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. Shrimad Narayana, 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 Shrimad Narayana, Narayana, Shrimad Narayana, 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 Shrimad Narayana, 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 Krishna Narayana, 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 Krishna Narayana, Narayana. Krishna Narayana, 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 Krishna Narayana, 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 Krishna Narayana, 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 Shrimad Narayana, 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 Shiva Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. I want you to keep in mind, devotees, there's more to this story about what happens with Bhagwan Shri Krishna after his birth. The various and countless stories of the different things that he performed, the different wonders he eluded on this earth, and the different ways he saved all of us, our souls, and our lives. Those will be stories for another time. But for now, devotees, I want you to join with me as we offer these few prayers to Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Of course, as I always ask you, join together with me as we go ahead and clasp our hands And as we close our eyes, I want you to void your mind of all thoughts that may be causing you stress, anxiety, and any worldly, material thoughts that you may be having at this time. We need to relax our body, so we take a deep breath in, filling our lungs all the way to the top. And as we exhale, you relax your spine, drop your shoulders, relax your neck, your forehead, make sure your entire body is relaxed. With your mind void of all thoughts, devotees, I want you to focus on a form of Bhagavan Shri Krishna that's most pleasing to you. One that helps you concentrate, one that helps you focus and maintain devotion. And join together with me as we chant these prayers to Bhagavan Shri Krishna. Om Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranata Kleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Govinda Gopalanandam Gopalam Gopivallabham Govardhanodharam Dhiram Vamvande Gomathepriyam Hey Krishna Karunarasmi Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Nata Radhakanta Vasante Om Pitambara Padmanabham Bhadamaksham Purushottamam Pavitram Paramanandam Tam Vande Parameshwaram Om Namo Dharam Divyasingham Dayalunena Nayakam Jaikirim Deva Devesham Tam Vande Devaki Sutam Om Murari Madhamam Matsyam Mukunda Mushti Mardhanam Munjakisha Mahamahum Tam Vande Madhusudhanam Hari Om Shanti Shanti, Shanti, Hari Om. And as we conclude for today, devotees, join together with me as we chant these closing prayers. Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shanti Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purunam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Om Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Bhag Bhave Om Mantrahinam Kriyahinam Bhaktihinam Janardanam Yatya Pujatam Maya Neva Paripurnam Tarastu Me Papoham Papu Karamaham Papu Atma Papu Sambhavatrahimam Pundari Kasham Sarva Papo Haro Hari Om Tvameva Madhastapitha Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidyadravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Asatoma Sadhamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityuma Mritam Ramaya Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurue Namaha Tasmai Shri Gurue Namaha Om Tau Shanti Antariksha Om Shanti Prithvi Shanti Apa Shanti Aushadhe Shanti Vanaspati Shanti Vishwadeva Shanti Brahma Shanti Sarvegam Shanti Shanti Reva Shanti Sama Shanti Re Hari Om Shanti 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 प्रेम से बोलो गणेश भगवान की जय, प्रेम से बोलो सरस्वती माता की जय, प्रेम से बोलो गुरुदेव की जय, प्रेम से बोलो कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय, प्रेम से बोलो सनातन धर्म की जय. And with this, devotees, we have come to the end of our service, or at least our prayers and our sermon dedicated to Bhagavan Shri Krishna on this very special Shri Krishna Janmashtmi night. I hope you all have a wonderful evening with your family and with your friends. I hope that you all attain many blessings from Bhagavan Shri Krishna. And as always, I hope to see you all this Sunday for a regular Sunday morning satsang. We are still open from under this Sunday. But you all have a fantastic evening, have a fantastic rest of your week, and thank you so much for tuning in. Jai Sita Ram to every single one.